It lines up exactly with the anomaly, so it is the anomaly.
If this is a tunnel, it's an aha moment. It'd be huge.
It is huge.
It means that there might have been something that Mr. Ball chose to keep secret. In this area, there is a source of the metals they're detecting, and they don't believe it's natural.
Oak Island doesn't give up its secrets easily. For 200 years, it has fought back with a diabolical network of flood tunnels and collapsing shafts. But the island's guardians made one mistake. They couldn't account for the technology of the future. Ground-penetrating radar has just done the impossible, locating a hidden, intact wooden chamber deep underground. The unbroken path to treasure. It's almost impossible to comprehend, but Oak Island was not always a name whispered with a mix of obsession and dread. For countless centuries, it was an anonymous speck of land on the Nova Scotian coast, a place of trees and rock completely ignored by history. That all came to a crashing end in the summer of 1795. The legend, now burned into the very soul of North American folklore, speaks of a teenager named Daniel McInnes. While exploring the island, he stumbled upon a strange circular depression in the ground. Above it, an old oak tree had a branch sawed off, scarred by what looked like the workings of a rope and pulley. It was a silent invitation, a clear sign that something had been deliberately buried. Convinced he had found the treasure of the infamous Captain Kidd, he and his friends, John Smith and Anthony Vaughan, started to dig. What they unearthed became the foundational tragedy of the Oak Island saga, the first taste of a maddening obsession that would consume the lives and fortunes of all who dared to follow. This was no ordinary hole. Just a few feet down, their shovels hit a layer of expertly placed flagstones, a man-made seal.
Here, too, at about 90 feet, they uncovered a large flat stone.
Fueled by a firestorm of excitement, they kept digging. 10 feet deeper, they struck a solid platform of oak logs wedged tightly together. Then 10 feet below that, another oak platform. It was a declaration of intent left by some unknown, brilliant builder. Something of unimaginable value was buried here, protected by layers of effort that screamed of importance. The why was a toxic brew of greed and the romantic allure of pirate legends. The golden age of piracy was a recent memory, and stories of buried treasure were the talk of the day. But the money pit, as it came to be known, held a dark and vicious secret. In the early 1800s, the first real treasure company, the Onslow Syndicate, pushed the dig past the 90-foot mark. They hit what they thought was the final layer, a large stone covered in strange, cryptic symbols. The next morning, they returned to a nightmare. The shaft had violently filled with over 60 feet of churning seawater.
It's freaking awesome! The water's squirting up from the bottom!
They had sprung the island's most infamous and devilish defense, the flood tunnels. The original depositors had engineered a work of pure evil genius, a series of underground canals that connected the money pit to the ocean at nearby Smith's Cove. They had turned the Atlantic Ocean itself into a weapon, a hydraulic trap that was self-resetting and for 2 long centuries completely and utterly unbeatable. This single event changed the search from a simple dig into an all-out war against an invisible, hyper-intelligent enemy. This watery beast was what bankrupted countless treasure hunters and cemented Oak Island's reputation as a place that actively fought back, a place that seemed to have a curse, killing those who got too close. When brothers Rick and Marty Lagina arrived, purchasing a controlling stake in the island in 2006, they brought a new weapon: science. Rick, whose life was forever changed by a 1965 Reader's Digest article about the mystery, knew this wasn't a battle you could win with bigger pumps or wider drills. It had to be won with sharper minds and better technology. For Rick, this was never just about gold. It was a deeply personal mission to solve a 200-year-old riddle and piece together a story that time itself had tried to bury. And now that story is screaming from beneath the earth. The breakthrough that has changed everything didn't come from a shovel, it came from waves of energy pulsing through the ground. Using advanced ground-penetrating radar, the team scanned an area that had long been a source of speculation. The results that came back on the screen were not ambiguous squiggles or faint anomalies. They were clear, undeniable, and breathtaking. It was a tunnel, a perfectly defined, completely man-made tunnel, its structure showing up on the screen as clearly as a blueprint. I mean, if this is a tunnel, it's an aha moment.
I mean, if this is a tunnel, it's an aha moment.
Yeah.
A stunned Rick Lagina declared, his voice thick with the weight of the discovery. It'd be huge. It is huge. This wasn't like the collapsed mud-filled searcher tunnels or the legendary elusive flood tunnels they had been hunting for years. This was different. This was intact. To confirm the GPR data, the team deployed a small borehole camera, drilling a tiny hole to peer into the void. What the camera revealed sent a jolt of electricity through the entire fellowship. There it was, a wooden wall, expertly constructed, and beside it a clear open passage. "It seems like a tunnel to me," Rick said, stating the obvious with a sense of profound wonder. The implications are staggering. For years, every effort to dig into the island's secrets has been met with collapse and flood. The original builders were masters of destructive engineering, but this tunnel suggests something else. It suggests that alongside their network of traps, they also built a secret path for themselves, a way to access whatever they hid without triggering the island's defenses. The team is no longer just chasing the ghosts of the past. They have found their footsteps, preserved in a wooden passage that has been waiting in the dark for centuries. Initial analysis suggests the tunnel could be hundreds of years old, perhaps dating back to the very first construction on the island in the 1700s or even earlier. The fatigue of years of painstaking, often fruitless work vanished in an instant. The team is now faced with the most exciting and dangerous question in the history of the hunt. Where does this path go? From huge swamps to secret projects. This newly discovered tunnel doesn't exist in a vacuum. It is the keystone that locks together years of other strange and tantalizing discoveries, painting a picture of a massive island-wide construction project. The focus immediately turns to the island's enigmatic eye-shaped swamp. For decades, this marsh was dismissed as a natural feature, but the Lagina team, guided by the maps of the late legendary surveyor Fred Nolan, proved it was anything but. They discovered it was an artificial creation, a massive engineering feat designed to conceal something. Now, the clues are connecting. Metal detection expert Gary Drayton, sweeping the eastern edge of that very swamp, got a powerful signal. The team, including Dr. Aaron Taylor, carefully began to excavate. What they pulled from the mud was a huge, heavy caster wheel, a piece of industrial hardware that would have been used for a massive tunneling or mining operation.
I know what it is. It's a caster. It's a caster wheel.
Gary's conclusion was immediate and electrifying. This was a clear sign that a major tunneling project was once carried out here. This wasn't a random artifact, it was a piece of the machinery used to build the very secrets they were now uncovering. The discovery of old, heavy tools with wooden handles and strange marks on tunnel walls had always hinted at a sophisticated operation, but the caster wheel was concrete proof. The team of experts, including geoscientist Dr. Ian Spooner and archaeologist Miriam Emerald, is now re-examining every clue in light of the intact tunnel. The stone pathways found leading into the swamp, the strange basement-like structure unearthed nearby, it all points to a single, coordinated effort. They are using every piece of technology at their disposal, from remote cameras to sonar mapping, to peer into the new tunnel without disturbing it, terrified of triggering a collapse that could wipe away the clues forever. Every small piece is weaving a bigger story, and it's becoming terrifyingly clear that the original builders weren't just burying a single chest. They were modifying the entire island, creating an industrial-scale fortress to protect something of world-altering importance. If the tunnel is the map, then a series of small, incredible artifacts found scattered across the island are the key to understanding who drew it. These are not just random trinkets lost to time. They are the calling cards of powerful groups from across the globe, each one adding another layer to the impossibly complex timeline. On the shores of the island, Gary Drayton unearthed an old ornate button.
Too big to be a cuff button. I think it's a jacket button, fancy jacket button as well.
The kind that would have belonged to a military officer's uniform. Experts believe it dates to the 17th century, a tangible link to a military presence on the island long before the money pit was ever discovered. Whose army was it, and what were they guarding? Not far from there, another signal led to an even more significant find, a small weathered coin buried in the forest floor. It was identified as an old Spanish maravedi, a copper coin from the 1600s. This single coin was direct evidence of a Spanish presence in a region historically dominated by the French and the British. But the island wasn't done giving up its secrets. Near that same area, Gary and Rick Lagina found 2 more coins, Britannia coins minted during the reign of King Charles II of England. One of them had the date 1,671 inches clearly visible, an undeniable 350-year-old piece of evidence.
Charles II, yeah?
Yep, Charles II.
That's way too early for people to be here.
How did coins from 2 different world powers end up on a tiny island off the coast of Nova Scotia? That's one of the big questions the team on Oak Island keeps asking. Did they fall from a treasure hunter's pocket hundreds of years ago? Or were they used to pay workers who built something deep underground? Every little item they dig up, whether it's an old coin, a piece of wood, or a strange carving, adds more mystery. These things might seem small, but they tell a huge story. A story that goes back centuries and might involve powerful groups from all over the world. Some people think it was the Knights Templar, a secret group that ran from danger in the year 1307. Others believe it could be the Freemasons, another old and mysterious group. Then there are those who say the Vikings made it to Oak Island long before Columbus even set sail. The team even found an old French map from 1647 covered in strange symbols. It showed an anchor, a valve, and a hatch. Was it a set of instructions, a treasure map, or something else entirely? No one knows for sure, but it gives them more reason to keep digging. Other strange things found on the island point to even more theories. Some people believe that Coptic Christians from North Africa may have visited the island long ago. Others think there could be a link to the Aztecs, the ancient people of Mexico. Wild ideas? Maybe. But on Oak Island, nothing is too strange to consider. This place feels like a crossroads where timelines from all over the world somehow come together. Now, after many years of searching, spending their own money, and never giving up, Rick and Marty Lagina and their team may be closer than ever to finding the truth. Their most exciting discovery so far? A large, intact wooden chamber and tunnel hidden deep below the island. This find changed everything. For years, some people said Oak Island was just a natural hole in the ground, that there was nothing special about it. But this chamber proves something was built here, carefully, on purpose. And it wasn't simple. This wasn't just a hole, it was a complex structure made by someone who knew exactly what they were doing. The search is no longer about if there's treasure. Now it's about what is it, and when will they find it? But even with all this hope, there's a serious problem. Oak Island has a dark past. It's full of tricky tunnels and flooding traps. Many searchers over the years have been tricked, hurt, or even killed by the island's clever defenses. This place is like a giant puzzle that doesn't want to be solved. So the big question now is, can they trust this tunnel? Is it really the way to the treasure? Or is it the final trap, one so smart that it could fool even the best explorers? Maybe it's there to waste their time or even lead them into a deadly collapse. What if it was designed to keep the real treasure hidden forever? The team knows they have to keep going, but they have to be very careful. One wrong move and they could destroy something important, or worse, they could get hurt. The pressure is real. People all over the world are watching their journey on the show The Curse of Oak Island. Fans cheer when they make progress and feel the heartbreak when something goes wrong. Rick, Marty, and their crew aren't alone in this. They've built a dream team of historians, geologists, and engineers. These experts study every clue, every rock, and every log. They work around the clock, knowing that each small find could be a key to the bigger mystery. This hunt is no longer just about gold or treasure. It's about solving a mystery that has lasted over 200 years. It's about proving once and for all that something big happened on this island. Something important. Something that powerful people tried very hard to hide. What if the real secret of Oak Island isn't treasure at all, but something much bigger? Let us know in the comments. Smash that like button and hit subscribe so you don't miss what they uncover next.